Have you considered that energy isn't just something you have, but what you are? How might your perspective shift, knowing it flows through every part of your being, invisible yet undeniably real? Picture Sarah, a marketing executive who dragged herself through each day feeling constantly drained. During a retreat in Sedona, a guide asked her to place her hands over a spot where the desert's famous vortex energy was said to be strongest. "I feel nothing," she insisted, until the moment she stopped trying, and suddenly felt warmth flooding her palms, traveling up her arms and spreading through her chest. "That's not the Earth's energy," the guide whispered. "That's yours, awakening to itself. Remember what Francis Bon, master of Hermetic teachings, asked, 'Without the control of energy, is man but a leaf in the wind of the forces of the universe?' Are you ready to stop being that leaf, tossed wherever external circumstances blow you? Think about it. When was the last time you felt a rush of excitement, a wave of fear, or the calm of deep relaxation? Did you recognize that as your energy shifting, expanding, or contracting? Like Michael, who noticed that before important presentations, his palms would tingle and his chest would fill with a buzzing sensation. Once he learned to direct this pre-speech energy rather than be consumed by it, his career transformed within months. How many people live their entire lives unaware of this fundamental truth, mistaking their own power for random happenstance or luck? Can you recall walking into a room and instantly knowing something was off, even before anyone spoke? Was that really intuition, or was it your energy field reacting? Consider Elena's experience at her new job. The office looked perfect, modern, well lit, with friendly co-workers. Yet every morning as she stepped through the door, her shoulders tensed and her breathing shallowed. Despite the smiles and polite conversation, something felt wrong. 6 weeks later, the company announced massive layoffs that had been planned for months. While colleagues were shocked, Elena realized her body had been sensing the underlying current of anxiety all along. What about those times you felt inexplicably drawn to certain people or repelled by others? Could those experiences be your body sensing the electromagnetic resonance of their energy fields? James swears he knew his wife was the one within 30 seconds of meeting her at a crowded networking event. There were more conventionally attractive people there, and certainly people with more similar interests on paper, he explains, but standing near her felt like coming home, like my energy had found its match. 15 years later, that unexplainable pull has proven more reliable than any compatibility quiz could have been. How often have you dismissed these subtle cues as coincidence? What if they weren't? What if that random impulse to call an old friend, who you later discovered was going through a crisis, was actually your energy bodies communicating across distance? When was the last time you took a truly deep breath? Not a shallow one, but a deep inhale that filled your belly, chest and mind. Did you feel that shift? David, a chronic overthinker, was skeptical about energy work until his therapist had him try a simple exercise. Just 3 deep breaths, she promised. On the 3rd exhale, tears unexpectedly streamed down his face. "What's happening?" he asked, alarmed. "You're feeling your energy body for the first time," she explained. "That emotion has been trapped there, waiting for you to create space for its release. Did you know every single inhale is an exchange with the universe? What might happen if you viewed each breath as an invitation to bring in vitality, clarity and power?" May, a surgeon who performs complex, hours-long procedures, developed a ritual before entering the operating room. 3 conscious breaths, the first to clear her mind, the second to steady her hands, the third to connect with healing intention. "My success rates improved by 23% after implementing this practice," she reports. "Not because I became technically better overnight, but because I learned to channel my energy precisely where it needed to go." Have you noticed how shallow breathing clouds your mind, while deep, intentional breaths make your energy dynamic and magnetic? Watch strangers in an elevator. Most hold their breath or breathe minimally, appearing lifeless. Then observe someone fully breathing in a room, how they naturally draw attention, how others unconsciously turn toward them, sensing something compelling they can't quite name. Have you ever thought of your emotions, not just as feelings, but as pure emotion, energy in motion? Layla discovered this reality during her divorce. For months, she'd wake with a heaviness in her chest so tangible it felt like a stone. One morning, instead of ignoring it, she placed her hand there and asked, "What are you?" The answer came instantly. Grief solidified into stagnant energy. She began visualizing this stone melting with each breath, transforming from solid to liquid to vapor. Within weeks, colleagues commented on her glow and opportunities began appearing, as if clearing that energetic blockage had opened a door. What if joy, gratitude and love aren't just good vibes, but powerful frequency beacons drawing positive experiences into your life? Consider the case of the gratitude millionaire, Raymond, who built a fortune from nothing after losing everything in the 2008 recession. His secret wasn't just hard work, but a daily ritual of energetic alignment. Every morning and evening, I would generate the feeling of profound gratitude for 5 specific minutes, as if I'd already achieved my goals. The energy this practice generated became so powerful that opportunities and connections began appearing with uncanny timing, what he calls aligned coincidences. People ask what business strategy worked for me, Raymond says. The truth is, it was an energy strategy. And those heavier emotions, anger, fear, doubt, what if they don't just feel heavy but actually are heavy, creating blockages in your energy flow? When Thomas received his cancer diagnosis, his doctor noted something unusual. Your symptoms don't match the size of this tumor. During recovery, Thomas worked with an energy practitioner who helped him identify decades of unexpressed anger stored in precisely the organ where cancer had developed. I had to learn that emotions aren't just psychological, they're physical. They take up space in your body when you don't give them space in your life. What would change if you didn't have to suppress emotions or let them control you, but instead learn to transmute them? Like an alchemist turning lead to gold, what if you could transform jealousy into inspiration, fear into focused action, and regret into wisdom? Have you heard of the microcosmic orbit? Would you be willing to sit comfortably, spine straight, tongue gently touching the roof of your mouth, and breathe deeply? Marcus, a high-stress investment banker, scoffed when his doctor suggested energy work for his chronic insomnia. "I don't have time for that mystical nonsense," he declared. Desperate after another sleepless week, he finally tried the simple microcosmic orbit meditation. The first night, nothing happened, he recalls. The second night, I felt a tingling at the base of my spine. By the 5th night, I could actually feel this current of warmth circulating through my body. I slept 8 hours straight for the first time in years. Now Marcus practices this technique during tense negotiations, invisible to others but transformative in maintaining his clarity, while competitors become reactive. Next time you can meditate, visualize energy starting at the base of your spine, rising up along your back, over your head and down the front of your body, completing a full circuit. See the energy flowing through and around your body like a magnetic field. Focus on your breathing and the moment, allowing the energy to correct whatever stresses you have been holding. Asha, a marathon runner, hit a performance plateau despite increasing her training. At a sports medicine clinic, a specialist in energy medicine suggested she try visualizing this energy circuit during her runs. It sounded ridiculous, she admits, but I was willing to try anything. Within weeks, her endurance dramatically improved. I could literally feel energy cycling through my body instead of depleting. My recovery times were cut in half, and my personal best improved by 14 minutes. What training alone couldn't accomplish, energy awareness achieved. What blockages might you clear by practicing this technique for several minutes? What old emotional wounds, limiting beliefs or physical tensions might dissolve when you direct conscious energy through pathways that have been neglected for years? Have you considered how your energy connects you to the world? Just as the sun radiates outward, giving life to everything, could your energy work the same way? Sophie discovered this truth unexpectedly. As a new teacher in an underfunded school, she faced a classroom of disengaged teens, labelled the impossible class by other faculty. Instead of forcing discipline, she tried an experiment each morning. Standing quietly before the students arrived, she would close her eyes and radiate feelings of genuine care and possibility throughout the room. "I didn't tell anyone what I was doing," she explains, but within 3 weeks the atmosphere completely transformed. Students who hadn't participated in years began engaging. Administrators asked what revolutionary teaching method she'd implemented. "I didn't change my curriculum," Sophie says. "I changed the energy field we were learning in." What happens when you radiate energy outward? What might you attract? Consider Jake, whose dating life was a series of disappointments until he worked with an energy coach. "I was told to stop focusing on finding the right person and instead become a magnet by cultivating a specific feeling state." Each morning, Jake would generate and project the feeling of being in a loving, supportive relationship. The warmth, the connection, the laughter. Within a month, I met Christine at a friend's dinner. The bizarre part? She'd been doing the exact same energy practice with her coach. Our energies recognized each other before we consciously did. Is intention truly everything? What occurs when your intention is clear versus when your energy scatters? Renowned entrepreneur Vanessa credits her 8-figure business success not to strategy, but to energy alignment. "Before major decisions or negotiations, I enter what I call energy coherence, where my thoughts, emotions, and intentions harmonize completely." She contrasts this with earlier career failures. "Looking back, every significant setback occurred when my energy was scattered, when I was saying yes but feeling no, when I was pursuing opportunities that didn't resonate with my deeper knowing." Now she trains her executive team in energy coherence before critical business moves, resulting in a decision-making accuracy that competitors find uncanny. Did you know energy doesn't just flow, it vibrates? And could the frequency of that vibration determine your experience of life? Dr. Lydia Chen, a quantum physicist turned consciousness researcher, experienced this reality following her mother's death. "I spent months in a fog of grief. As a scientist, I became fascinated by how this emotional state was literally changing what I noticed in my environment. It was as if I had tuned my radio to the loss and sadness frequency, and suddenly that's all I could receive." Her breakthrough came when she applied her understanding of wave functions to her own energetic state. "I began deliberately elevating my vibrational frequency through specific practices. Within weeks, opportunities and connections I couldn't access in my lower state began appearing. It wasn't magical thinking. It was applied physics. What if low vibrations pull you into cycles of fear, stress, and lack, while high vibrations elevate you into states of abundance, clarity, and joy? Carlos, a struggling artist, lived this contrast dramatically. "For years I created from a place of anxiety. Fear that I wasn't good enough, stress about money, resentment towards successful peers. I produced work, but it never resonated. A mentor suggested his energetic state was imprinting on his creations. I was skeptical but desperate enough to try anything." Carlos began a disciplined practice of raising his vibration before creating, through movement, music, and meditation. "The first painting I completed in this elevated state sold for more than my previous 10 works combined. The buyer said she could feel the joy radiating from the canvas. She had no idea how literal that statement was. Have you ever spent 1 minute listing things you're grateful for? Did you notice the shift in your energy? Was that your vibration rising? Emma, a chronic pain patient, discovered this simple truth could accomplish what years of medication couldn't. My doctor actually prescribed a gratitude practice, 60 seconds each morning and night. I thought it was ridiculous, but I was desperate. She began cataloguing small pleasures: her comfortable bed, warm water, the bird outside her window. After 2 weeks, I realized I'd gone hours without noticing my pain. After a month, I reduced my medication by half. The pain hadn't vanished, but my relationship to it transformed completely. Her neurologist now studies how gratitude practices measurably change inflammatory markers and neural pathways, physical evidence of vibration shifting. What if energy mastery isn't just about control, but about creation? How would your life change if you stopped seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and started recognizing yourself as the architect of your reality? Richard's transformation embodies this shift. After losing his home in a natural disaster, he fell into depression and victimhood. "The universe is against me" became his mantra. A chance encounter with an energy healer changed everything. She asked me a question that altered my life. What if you're not being punished by the universe, but being cleared for something greater? This perspective shift was the beginning of Richard's journey into conscious reality creation. He began visualizing his ideal future while generating the emotional energy of already living it. Within 18 months, he had not only rebuilt his life, but had founded a disaster relief organization that has since helped thousands. The catastrophe didn't change, he explains. My relationship to it did. When I shifted from victim to creator energy, possibilities I couldn't previously imagine became obvious. Are the tools already in your hands? Is the power already within you? Mira discovered this truth during a financial crisis. Facing bankruptcy and foreclosure, she stumbled upon an ancient text describing energy as directed consciousness made manifest. Instead of continuing her desperate search for external solutions, she began a practice of energy direction. 30 minutes daily of intense focus on her desired outcome while generating feelings of security and abundance. The first tangible result came 3 days later. A call from a forgotten client with a substantial project offer, she recalls. Then connections and opportunities began appearing with uncanny timing. Within 60 days, her financial situation had completely reversed. Nothing around me changed until something within me shifted. The tools were always there, I just hadn't recognized them as tools. Consider this. If your life's circumstances are a reflection of your energetic output, what might be possible if you became conscious of what you're transmitting? What reality might you create with deliberate energy mastery? Have you heard the saying, where attention goes, energy flows? Is it possible this isn't just a catchy phrase, but a universal law? Dr. Samuel Park, a neurobiologist, stumbled upon this principle while researching neural pathway formation. In simplest terms, the brain physically changes based on where we direct our attention, he explains. But I noticed something our traditional models couldn't account for. The emotional charge behind that attention dramatically amplified the changes. This observation led to his groundbreaking work in attentional energy, which has transformed treatment approaches for everything from addiction to PTSD. We're training patients not just to redirect thoughts, but to consciously channel their emotional energy. The results have been remarkable. Changes we once thought would take years occurring in weeks. When was the last time you worried incessantly about something? Didn't it feel like that worry expanded, consuming more of your thoughts, emotions, and even physical state? Kira's experience illustrates this phenomenon painfully well. After a concerning medical test, she spent 3 weeks in an escalating spiral of worry while awaiting results. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The worry became physical, heart palpitations, dizziness. By the time I got my results, which were negative, I had created very real symptoms through the sheer power of my focused energy. The experience was transformative. I realized I'd manifested physical effects through unconscious energy direction. If I could create symptoms through fear, what might I create through other emotional energies? What might happen if you flipped the script? Instead of unconsciously feeding your energy into stress and negativity, what if you deliberately channeled it into something you want to grow? Jason, a formerly struggling entrepreneur, credits his company's turnaround to this exact shift. We were facing bankruptcy, and I spent every waking moment obsessing over worst-case scenarios. A mentor challenged me, what if you invested that same energetic intensity into visualizing solutions instead of problems? Jason began a disciplined practice of redirecting his attention and emotional energy. Every time my mind drifted to disaster scenarios, I would deliberately shift to intensely visualizing ideal outcomes with the same emotional charge. Within 90 days, his team had developed an innovative product pivot that eventually saved the company. The solution was always there, he reflects, but I couldn't access it while my energy was locked in problem focus. Could you start each morning with a focus ritual? Before checking your phone, news or emails, would you sit quietly for 5 minutes? Consider Alejandro, a high-powered executive whose anxiety had become debilitating despite his outward success. I was waking up to 50 notifications and immediately launching into reaction mode, he recalls. A performance coach suggested a radical change. The first 5 minutes of each day would be dedicated to energy alignment rather than information consumption. It felt impossible at first, like I was neglecting critical responsibilities. The impact was immediate and profound. My decision-making improved dramatically. My team noticed I was more present and creative in meetings, and counterintuitively I became more responsive to genuine emergencies because I could distinguish signal from noise. 3 years later, Alejandro has expanded his morning ritual to 20 minutes and credits it with both his continued career advancement and the resolution of his anxiety issues. What if you chose one word representing the energy you want to embody that day? Calm, focus, strength or joy? Rebecca, a single mother of 3 running her own business, discovered the power of this practice during a particularly chaotic period. I felt fragmented, pulled in a dozen directions, she explains. Her coach suggested selecting one energetic quality each morning and returning to it throughout the day. Some days I chose calm when facing difficult conversations. Other days, determination when tackling challenging projects. The simplicity was deceptive. By consciously selecting an energy and repeatedly realigning with it, I created an internal coherence that had been missing. My children noticed I was more consistent. My clients commented on my newfound clarity. What began as a coping strategy became a cornerstone practice that transformed her experience of life's demands. With each inhale, could you imagine drawing that energy into your body? With each exhale, might you release anything that doesn't align with it? Martin, a professional athlete struggling with performance anxiety, transformed his career through this breathwork technique. Before competitions, my mind would race with all the ways I might fail, he shares. Working with a sports psychologist, he developed a breathing ritual. inhaling his chosen energy, confidence, power, flow, visualizing it filling his body with golden light, exhaling doubt, tension and distraction as dark smoke. It sounds simple, but this practice rewired my pre-competition nervous system. His performance metrics before and after adopting this technique show remarkable improvement. Reaction times, accuracy and recovery all measurably enhanced. The difference wasn't physical training, his coach confirms. It was his ability to direct his energy with precision when it mattered most. Have you experienced moments of knowing something before it happened? Felt a gut instinct that turned out to be right? Detective Sandra Merritt credits her extraordinary 87% case closure rate to what colleagues call her spooky intuition. Early in my career, I dismissed these gut feelings as coincidence, she explains. That changed during the Rivera case. While examining evidence others had reviewed multiple times, Sandra felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to look inside a heating vent, discovering the crucial evidence that solved the case. That's when I stopped fighting my intuitive hits and started developing them. She now begins each investigation with what she calls energy sensing, quieting her analytical mind and allowing her energy body to receive impressions. The information is always there. Most people's conscious minds are too noisy to access it. What if these weren't mystical coincidences, but your natural ability to perceive possibilities before they manifest? Dr. Hassan, a renowned heart surgeon, recalls the day this understanding changed his practice forever. I was about to perform a routine procedure I'd done hundreds of times when I felt an overwhelming sensation that something was wrong. Despite all tests showing normal parameters, he ordered additional unconventional screenings, discovering a rare anomaly that would have caused fatal complications. Western medicine trained me to trust only physical evidence, but that experience forced me to recognize that my energy body was perceiving information beyond what my instruments could detect. Dr. Hassan now trains medical students in what he calls integrated diagnostics, combining technical expertise with refined intuitive awareness. His approach has been credited with saving numerous lives in situations where standard protocols would have failed. To develop this ability, would you try energetic foresight? Could you visualize two paths for a decision you're facing and notice how your body and mind react to each? Elaine, facing a critical career crossroads, applied this technique when deciding between two executive offers. On paper, Company A offered more money and prestige. Company B was smaller with growth potential. Sitting quietly, she visualized accepting each position, allowing the scenarios to unfold in her imagination while carefully monitoring her body's responses. With Company A, I noticed subtle throat tightening and shoulder tension, despite the rational appeal. With Company B, I experienced an expansive feeling in my chest and a mental clarity that surprised me. She chose Company B, despite friends' skepticism. 3 months later, Company A underwent a massive restructuring, eliminating the position she would have held. Meanwhile, her role at Company B has expanded beyond the original scope. My energy body knew what my analytical mind couldn't possibly have predicted. Now I use this technique for every significant decision. Have you noticed how some places feel uplifting while others feel heavy? How certain people drain you while others inspire you? Maya, a freelance writer, couldn't understand why her creativity flourished in certain cafes but completely stalled in others. Same laptop, same coffee, same me, yet dramatically different results. Her curiosity led her to research environmental energy fields, and she began experimenting. I started mapping my productivity against different locations and noticed undeniable patterns. Most revealing was her experience with a beautiful, newly renovated workspace that inexplicably drained her creativity. I later learned it was built over a site with a troubled history. The energy of that past remained, affecting everyone who worked there. Maya now scouts locations energetically before committing to work there, using her sensitivity as a professional advantage. My clients think I'm just peculiar about my workspace. What they don't realize is that the environments I choose directly impact the quality of what I create for them. Is this just coincidence? Or could every object, space, and being emit an energy field that interacts with yours? Real estate agent Dominic discovered the financial impact of this principle after a career-changing encounter with a property that wouldn't sell. It was perfect on paper, great location, excellent condition, fair price. Yet it sat on the market for 18 months with dozens of potential buyers, all finding vague reasons to walk away. Desperate, Dominic consulted an energy specialist who identified concentrated negative energy from a bitter divorce that had occurred there. After a thorough energy clearing protocol, the property sold within 2 weeks at above asking price. That experience transformed my business approach, Dominic explains. I now assess and address the energetic component of every property alongside the physical features. My sales cycle has shortened by 40% since implementing this practice. What might happen if you cleansed your space, lit a candle or incense and walked slowly around the room with the intention of clearing stagnant energy? Therapist Lisa Jenkins incorporated space clearing into her practice after noticing session outcomes varied widely depending on who had used her office previously. If I had a particularly traumatic therapy session with a client, the next client would often have unusual difficulty opening up, even if they were normally forthcoming. She began performing a simple clearing ritual between sessions, lighting a small candle, playing specific frequency sounds, and setting conscious intention to reset the space. The difference was immediate and measurable. My notes showed clients were reaching breakthrough insights more quickly and reported feeling unusually safe in our sessions. Lisa now teaches this practice to her clients for use in their homes and workspaces, with many reporting significant improvements in family dynamics and stress levels. Have you tried visualizing a shield of light surrounding your body, deflecting anything that doesn't serve your highest good? Emergency room physician Dr. Taylor credits this practice with maintaining his well-being through a 20-year career in high-trauma medicine. In medical school, no one teaches you how to prevent absorbing the emotional and energetic impact of working with people in crisis. After developing symptoms of severe empathic overwhelm, he learned the protective shield visualization from an energy worker. Before each shift, I visualize an egg of golden light surrounding my body. It allows compassion to flow out while preventing distress from flowing in. His colleagues, initially skeptical, took notice when he maintained remarkable calm and clarity during overwhelming situations. Several have since adopted the practice, reporting reduced burnout and improved decision-making under pressure. The most evidence-based thing I can say is this: it works consistently and predictably. That's more than I can say for many conventional medical interventions. Could your energy today influence not only your future but also your past? Would you be willing to try timeline healing? Professor Chen, a quantum physicist turned consciousness researcher, spent decades investigating this seemingly impossible question. Our experiments at the quantum level consistently show that observation in the present can influence how particles behaved in the past, what we call retrocausality. This led them to explore whether human consciousness might operate with similar principles. Working with trauma survivors, she developed a protocol called energetic timeline reconciliation. where participants direct healing energy toward past traumatic events from their current state of awareness. The results defied conventional understanding, she reports. We documented cases where not only did the emotional charge of traumatic memories transform, but in some instances participants' physical health conditions stemming from those traumas showed measurable improvement. While careful not to overclaim, Dr. Chen notes that something remarkable happens when we stop viewing time as a rigid line and start approaching it as a malleable field that responds to directed consciousness. Have you explored the interplay between energy and sound? What if your voice has a resonant frequency that aligns with your unique energy field? Opera singer turned sound healer Mariella discovered this connection when vocal nodules threatened her career. Traditional treatments weren't working, so I began researching vibrational medicine, she explains. By measuring her biofield and matching it with specific sound frequencies, she developed a personalized toning practice that not only healed her vocal cords but enhanced her performance beyond previous capabilities. I discovered that each person has a signature frequency that, when vocalized, creates resonance throughout their energy system. Mariella now works with everyone from executives wanting to increase their presentation impact to patients recovering from illness. When you speak or sing at your resonant frequency, you're literally harmonizing your entire energy field. The effects on physical health, emotional balance, and personal magnetism are profound and measurable. Have you considered working with elemental energies? For grounding, might you walk barefoot on grass? For emotional balance, could you sit near water? Investment banker William discovered these practices after being diagnosed with dangerously high blood pressure, despite his youth and physical fitness. The medication had severe side effects, so my doctor suggested I try complementary approaches alongside conventional treatment. Initially skeptical, William began a simple practice of walking barefoot in a park near his office for 15 minutes daily. The first week, nothing happened. The second week, I noticed I was sleeping better. By the third week, my blood pressure readings had dropped significantly. Intrigued, he expanded his practice to include weekly ocean swims. 6 months later, his doctor reduced his medication by half. What began as a reluctant experiment became the cornerstone of my health regimen. I now schedule client meetings in parks when possible and choose hotels near water when traveling. His firm, noticing the improvement in his performance, has begun incorporating nature-based practices into their executive wellness program. What is the ultimate goal of energy mastery? Could it be alignment with universal flow? Filmmaker Elena Rodriguez's experience illuminates this concept vividly. After a decade of struggling in Hollywood, pushing relentlessly against closed doors, she reached a breaking point. Dr. Gabriel Morrison, a cardiac surgeon with an international reputation, describes his most extraordinary cases as partnership with something beyond myself. Early in my career, I operated from pure technical skill and determination. I was good, but I was exhausted, and some cases that should have been straightforward became unnecessarily complicated. The turning point came during a high-risk procedure when everything began going wrong. In a moment of internal surrender, I stopped fighting and silently asked for guidance. What followed was an experience of flow state so profound that it felt like the surgery was performing itself through my hands. The patient made a recovery that defied medical expectations. My complication rates dropped dramatically. Procedures that once took hours sometimes completed in half the time, with better outcomes. He now teaches medical students to complement their technical training with practices for energetic alignment. The best surgeons I know all access this state whether they use this terminology or not. To cultivate this alignment, would you practice surrender? Not giving up, but releasing the need to micromanage outcomes. Entrepreneur. Sarah Lynn's business breakthrough came through this counterintuitive approach. After 2 failed startups and on the verge of bankruptcy, she discovered the concept of aligned surrender through an executive coach. I'd been taught that success came from controlling every variable, anticipating every problem, and working harder than everyone else. My coach suggested this approach was creating energetic resistance that was actually blocking my success. I still worked diligently, but from a completely different energetic state, one of collaboration with possibilities rather than forcing my limited vision. Her next venture not only succeeded, but expanded in directions she couldn't have planned. The most valuable opportunities came through synchronistic connections and unforeseen market shifts that my previous controlling approach would have missed entirely. Sarah's company now includes aligned surrender as a core leadership principle, with decision-making processes explicitly designed to balance strategic direction with openness to unexpected possibilities. Is energy mastery a destination or an evolving journey? As you engage with these practices, what new layers of potential might you discover within yourself? Consider Amara's extraordinary evolution. Beginning as a skeptical accountant who reluctantly attended an energy workshop just to support a friend, she found herself unexpectedly moved by the exercises. I felt something undeniable, a subtle vibration in my hands that I couldn't explain away. Her initial curiosity led to consistent practice, which unveiled progressively deeper capacities. First came the ability to regulate my own energy, transforming anxiety into calm, fatigue into vitality. Then I began sensing others' energetic states, which transformed my leadership approach completely. 5 years into my practice, I experienced what I call the dissolution, a profound shift where the boundary between my energy and universal energy temporarily disappeared. It revealed possibilities I'm still integrating years later. Now teaching alongside her accounting career, Amara emphasizes that each stage seemed like a destination until it became a doorway. The journey never ends, it only deepens. Each practice reveals new mysteries, new capacities, new questions. Are you no longer a passive observer of your life, but an active participant, a creator, a force of nature? Michael's transformation exemplifies this shift in identity. After a childhood of feeling powerless, shuttled between foster homes, struggling with learning disabilities, labelled at risk by the system, he encountered energy work through a community program for troubled youth. The first time I consciously directed my energy, I felt something I'd never experienced: agency. This initial empowerment sparked a commitment to daily practice. I began to recognize that while I couldn't control external circumstances, I could control my energetic response, and that changed everything. Over years of development, Michael moved from surviving his circumstances to actively creating new possibilities. Now running youth programs internationally, he guides others through the same transformation. When young people shift from seeing themselves as victims of their environment to recognizing themselves as creators of their experience, behavior patterns that seemed unchangeable begin to dissolve. Michael's work has shown measurable success in reducing recidivism rates and improving educational outcomes. The system sees it as behavioral modification. We know it's energetic awakening, young people recognizing themselves as forces of nature rather than leaves in the wind. The question now is simple. How far are you willing to go? The energy is already yours. What will you do with it? Renowned researcher Dr. Eliza Steinberg frames this question in terms of human potential. After 40 years studying energy mastery across cultures, I've concluded that most people utilize less than 10% of their energetic capabilities. It's as if we're trying to power our lives with a fraction of our available life force. Her research documents individuals who have developed extraordinary capacities through dedicated practice, from measurably accelerated healing to heightened creative insight, to remarkable resilience during extreme challenges. What's most significant is that these aren't special people. They're ordinary people who've made a committed decision to develop capabilities we all possess. When asked about the limits of human energetic potential, Dr. Steinberg smiles. In 4 decades, I've yet to find them. Each time we think we've reached the boundary of possibilities, someone transcends it. The question facing each of us isn't whether we have the energy for transformation, but whether we're willing to command what already exists within us. Has something inside you shifted as you've read these questions? Did you feel that flicker of recognition, that pull deep within? Consider Elijah's experience when he first encountered these concepts. I was reading on a crowded train when suddenly the words seemed to lift off the page and resonate directly with something inside me. My hands began tingling and I felt a warmth spreading through my chest. That moment of recognition, what energy practitioners call the awakening response, was the beginning of a profound transformation. It wasn't intellectual understanding, it was cellular recognition, my energy body responding to truth it already knew. That initial resonance led him to simple daily practices that gradually revealed capacities he never imagined possessing. Looking back, I realized that physical sensation of recognition was my energy body's way of saying, "This is your path." What sensations have you experienced while reading? That subtle excitement, that inner knowing. Could it be your own energy body recognizing its potential? Is this the moment where your energy awakens, where your power stirs? For Catherine, a corporate executive facing burnout and health challenges, such a moment became a lifeline. I was in a hotel room on yet another business trip, exhausted and questioning everything, when I stumbled across a video about energy mastery. Something in the message penetrated my skepticism, triggering what I describe as an electrical current running from the base of my spine to the crown of my head. This unexpected physical response captured her attention completely. In that moment, something ancient and powerful within me awakened, something that had been dormant beneath the stress and striving. Catherine began integrating energy practices into her daily routine, initially investing just 5 minutes each morning. Marcus, a talented but underperforming athlete, transformed his career through a single decision moment. After years of inconsistent results despite rigorous training, he encountered the concept of energetic intention. My coach had me select a single word that would embody the energy I wanted to compete with, not just intellectually understand, but physically embody. After careful consideration, Marcus chose unstoppable. Every morning, I would stand in front of a mirror, look into my own eyes and declare this word while allowing the feeling of being truly unstoppable to fill my body. What began as an awkward exercise gradually became the cornerstone of his preparation. In competition, when faced with challenges that previously derailed me, I would silently connect with this energetic state. It wasn't magical thinking, it was accessing a genuine resource within me that I'd never consistently activated. His performance statistics before and after adopting this practice tell a compelling story, from mid-pack finishes to championship titles within a single season. Are you truly ready to step into this power? Will you align yourself with others who are not just watching life happen, but actively creating it? Community organizer Sophia discovered the multiplier effect of shared energy work when tackling seemingly insurmountable challenges in her underserved neighborhood. We'd been trying to create change through traditional activism, but facing constant setbacks and burnout. After learning about collective energy alignment, Sophia introduced simple practices to her core team, beginning meetings with energy-centering techniques and explicitly setting unified intentions. The shift was remarkable. Our effectiveness multiplied, unexpected resources appeared, and most importantly, our resilience became unshakable. The community initiatives that had stalled for years began moving forward with surprising ease. We now regularly practice what we call collective field generation before major initiatives, with dozens or even hundreds of community members joining together in focused, energetic intention. Independent assessment has documented the group's unusual success rate in achieving community goals. When people ask about our methodology, we explain everything, including the energy practices. Some are skeptical until they see the results. Then they become our most committed practitioners. This is your time. Are you ready to ignite your limitless potential? The universe responds to this level of energetic clarity with remarkable support. But it begins with a genuine decision, not merely wishful thinking or casual interest, but a soul-level commitment to your own awakening. Are you making that commitment now? Is this your moment?